What's happening, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of How to Be a Successful Personal Trainer with me, Zach Murphy. Today's episode is going to be probably the most important in this series of videos so far, and it's all about the best methods to use to build your business. These are all methods which I've personally used and I can vouch for, and they work really well. So before we get into all of the detail, let me just reel off what the main options are. I've narrowed it down to about 8 different options. All of these are things which I've used in some shape or form myself, and like I said, they do tend to work particularly well. So number 1 is direct contact. Number 2 is gym floor interaction. Number 3 is to hold seminars on topics that you're an expert in. Number 4 is to offer taster sessions to members of that gym. Number 5 is to have flyers. Number 6, be generally good at your job. Number 7, referrals as a result of being good at your job. And number 8, you can use methods like social media, which I'll get into a little bit more too. So let's start with the main one. Direct contact. What does this mean? The direct contact method is quite literally directly contacting members of the gym that you work in. So the usage of most gyms that you'll be a member of or work in will be no more than about 20%. This basically means that 80% of members in that gym will literally never ever go there in person. And as a result, they won't know that you exist. You need to try to find a way of contacting or coming into contact with those people to essentially allow them to know that you can help them. Most of the time, people in this bracket, there's a reason they're not going to the gym. It's a lack of knowledge, lack of motivation, lack of kind of prioritizing it in their life even and stuff too. Those are things that as a personal trainer, you're there to help with. So the direct contact method is very simple. It'll either usually be a text message or an email. Personally, I've always tended to go down the route of having a text message sent to members of the gym. Reason being is that everyone's always got their phone with them. Me too today. And like I said, it's easy for them to reply to the message that you send them. It can be very concise. It can be something along the lines of, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. I work at such and such gym. As a valued member of our gym, we would like to offer you the opportunity to book in for a complimentary consultation to discuss your training with one of our trainers. Here is a list of my available times. Please let me know if you're interested." Something like this works very, very well, okay? People might not get back to you straight away, but in the coming weeks and months, people will always get back to you, okay? So when I've worked in the city gym, this is something we use quite a lot. So you would contact people for various different reasons, okay? So you would have obviously new members of the gym. So people that have just signed up, they're very enthusiastic, they want to make that change in their life, whatever it might be. So you've got their birthday as another reason for contacting them too. So within the calendar month of someone's birthday, you can message them saying, "Happy birthday from the club that you work at. As a birthday gift, we'd love to offer you the opportunity to book in for a complimentary consultation." This would tend to work very well with people just because they felt valued as a member. They thought, "Oh, someone's actually taken the time to contact me. That's really nice of them to do. Maybe I'll take them up on this opportunity." The third reason was obviously people that were thinking about cancelling their membership. So they'd expressed an interest in terminating their contract. They give various reasons. Maybe the facilities aren't what they hope for, or they're not getting what they want out of their training. You could obviously contact those people and say, "Have you ever thought about working with a trainer to actually, have a set structure in your life to help you achieve your goals?" More often than not, most of them hadn't. And so this was a great opportunity to allow them to reassess whether they wanted to cancel their membership in the first place, and if maybe that they maybe want to work with you instead. So the second method is gym floor interaction. Now, when I worked in the city gym, this was literally always what our managers would try and get us to do. The simple reason being is that when you were on the gym floor as a body, you were there to help members with their technique, with their training, to talk to them, to tidy the gym, all that kind of stuff. You're essentially free labor, okay? So obviously, there's negative ways of looking at it, but there's also positive too, because if you are physically there in person on the gym floor, the vast majority of gyms that you'll work in, there's a huge amount to correct in what you see people doing on a day-to-day basis. I could literally go around as a full-time job in most gyms that I've gone to and correct people's form on their movements, trying to work with too much weight or too little weight, or just, all of that kind of basic stuff that as a trainer, you're there to help improve in people's training. So with this method though, it's quite subjective. So what I will say is that not everyone is good at it. Personally, it's not one that I've ever really done myself that much. I've done it fleetingly, but only in very specific situations, because you need to gauge who your audience is. If you're a member of the gym or you're working in the gym and you've seen someone training in a certain way for months, if not years, if you then correct what they're doing, it's very, very unlikely that they're going to listen to you, because it's so ingrained in what they do on a day-to-day basis. You know, they come in, they do flat barbell bench press, they do some dumbbell rows, they have their routine, they have the weight they work with, everything's already kind of laid out before they even get there, but in a negative way rather than a positive way, structuring your training properly. You know, the chances of them actually listening to what you have to say is very slim. So like I said, choose your audience carefully, because you know, if you think you can genuinely add value to someone that you think will be receptive to what you're saying, by all means go for it, and you're comfortable doing so. A lot of the time though, you know, there's a lot of trainers that are very lacking in confidence, should we say, and they'll find it very difficult to do that at the early stage of their career. I was the same, you know, I knew what I was doing with my training, but I was like, oh, do I know enough to actually stop someone while they're training and tell them that they're doing it incorrectly and maybe that they should do this instead, etc. Even if you're right, it's just that general level of confidence, you know. I know from experience that working in, like I said, those employee model gyms, you know, it was like a lamb to the slaughter, the new trainers getting sent onto the gym floor, because they'd be kind of awkwardly standing around looking like, you know, a rabbit in the headlights, not knowing where to look, what to do, who to talk to, if to talk to anyone at all. And you could tell they weren't comfortable with it. So it's so important with all of these methods that you have to be comfortable with what you're doing and what you're saying to people. So a third method, which I've personally used and with good success as well, is to hold seminars on specific topics of interest, okay? So when I worked in the city gym, there was a large contingent of triathletes that would train there. And so they had a very, very keen interest in swimming particularly, because most people can run, most people can cycle, but swimming is the one that they always have as a downfall, okay? And so I would hold seminars on basically what they could do in the gym environment to improve their swimming, okay? So essentially swimming specific strength and conditioning. If you've watched obviously my first episodes 1 and 2, you'll know that I have a huge amount of knowledge and interest in this area as a result of my upbringing in swimming all the time. And so, you know, the benefit to these types of environments is that you have a captive audience. So, you know, you can advertise your seminar 2-3 weeks in advance, obviously on a specific date and time. You'll get maybe 8 to 10 people turn up, depends what the topic is and how many people are interested. Something like fat loss, everyone's going to turn up. If it's something very specific, then you're not going to get that many. But quality over quantity. So, you know, with these, like I said, smaller groups of people, you can interact with them a little bit more. And you know that those people who are there listening to what you have to say, they are all prospective clients, because they will trust in your knowledge, okay? And they will know that, you know, they might not sign up to train with you there and then, but some of the information which you give them that they'll go away and try to implement themselves, if it doesn't go well, you're the person they come back to, okay? So this is something which, like I said, it's not going to give you an immediate return, but it's certainly something which you should incorporate into your place of work in order to try and have that longevity with working there, basically. So taster sessions are the fourth method, which I mentioned earlier. Personally, they're not something which I've ever done myself, but not because they're not a good method. It's purely because if you do other things well, you tend to not really need to have a taster session with someone. You know, usually in a consultation environment, you can usually tell when someone's genuinely interested in training with you, or if they're just taking you for a ride. I've seen numerous examples of people just giving out taster sessions left, right, and center, and you know, they'll do 10 in a week, and only one person signs up. And you know, the rest of them, they were just, like I said, taking them for a ride. So they can be good in some respects because you can get good business, but again, quality over quantity. Choose who you're targeting. You know, maybe offer a taster session as part of something which you say to someone when you're correcting their technique when they're training. Say, have you ever considered working with a trainer? If you have, then you know, here's my contact number, and we can have a taster session, and you can see the differences between what you do and what it would be like training with me in person. Usually after that, if you have added value to whatever that person's doing, they will train with you. There's no question about it, okay? So, you know, they'll have bought into your idea of training, and they'll have valued the knowledge which you'll have imparted on them in that hour session. So something which we did more so in the studio environment was to hand out flyers. So the reason this worked well in the studio environment was basically because you didn't need to be a member of the studio. Obviously in a commercial gym, you have to pay your membership rate anyway, and then you pay for training on top. So it's like another stepping stone basically to training that person. So in the studio, where you didn't need to be a member, it was actually really good, because someone could say, I don't have a gym membership anyway, maybe I'll do a few sessions, whatever it might be. Usually after obviously that period of time, then they would continue training further. Now, you know, flyers, like I said, you could spend a couple of hours in a main train station or wherever it might be near to where your place of work is, handing these out. Personally, obviously I was very lucky. I worked next to Liverpool Street. It's one of the busiest train stations in the UK. And so there was always a huge number of people, pre-COVID this is obviously, that would be frequenting that area. And so, you know, during peak times, so say like between 6 and 8 p.m. in the evening, for example, when people are going home, handing out flyers usually actually led to quite a good amount of business, more than you might think. And so actually that was quite a productive use of both my time and also the other people who worked in the studio too, other trainers. You know, 90% of people that you'll give that flyer to probably aren't going to read it. But of that 10%, you're going to get a few clients out of it, okay? And again, a bit like the direct contact method, people will get back to you at a later date with that too. So those first 5 methods, like I said, they're kind of active ways in which you can try to build your business. The 6th one, which I mentioned earlier, which is to be good at your job, is quite simple, you know, but people overlook this a lot, you know. They're constantly thinking about numbers, and thinking, oh, you know, I want to do as many sessions as possible. I want to do 10 sessions in a day and, you know, make as much money as possible, all that kind of stuff. If you're good at your job, and obviously you're in an environment where you can control how much you charge for your sessions and stuff, if you do fewer sessions in a day, the quality of those sessions will be better. Okay, it's going to be less tiring for you. You're going to be more attentive to the client that you're working with. You're going to have time to plan their session in advance and stuff. You know, the general quality of what you offer as a product and a service will be better. And so as a result, you know, they're going to know, basically, you know. It's such an overlooked element of personal training to think that numbers equals more money, but it doesn't equal retention. Retention is the number one most important thing in building your business with any of these methods that you use. Once you get a client, you want to keep that client. Okay, that's how you build a strong and profitable business. It's not by continually churning over new clients. Okay, so having that kind of, say, maybe more selective approach to your training and to your business will always benefit you in the long run. All right. So many times I saw inexperienced trainers, you know, 1 month doing 120 sessions a month, feeling fantastic, on top of the world. Following month, 10 of their clients have cancelled and they've got 40 sessions. Now they've got to try and go and replace those 10 clients. And, you know, it's a stressful way for you to work. And it doesn't lead to longevity in the industry, I can promise you that. I've seen it so many times. People getting disheartened. They're wondering what it is that they're doing that's wrong, and often it's literally just that they're working too much and the quality of what they offer is no good to that client anymore, and they know it. You know, if you're coming in tired for your session, for their session, they're not going to want to pay you for that long. They're going to be like, why am I paying this joker, man? Like, you know, he's not even talking to me. You know, he's not even asking me how I am or anything like that and stuff. He's just taking me through a really generic, basic training plan. You know, this is not a way for you to work to have a profitable long-term business and career in the fitness industry. And so a byproduct of that was number 7, which I mentioned, which is to get referrals. Because like I said, if you're good at what you do, you will get referrals. Okay, people who you train will talk to their colleagues about you when they're back in the office. Okay, and so this is obviously something that, you know, especially in that city environment, they're big offices, there's lots of people in them all the time. You know, they share their office with different people depending on what their job is and stuff. They're going to talk to them about you as a trainer and what it's like training with you, whether you're good or not. So if you aren't getting referrals, maybe you need to kind of assess what you're doing with your clients and the way in which you're approaching their training, etc. So a more up-to-date method, which makes me feel a tiny bit old to be totally honest with you, is using something like Instagram. So Instagram, obviously, when I first started training people, it had only been around for about 18 months, 2 years. But what you can do, obviously, which is really good, is tag yourself, training your clients in the gym that you work in, so that, you know, people that are on that all the time, that are maybe a member of that gym or thinking of being a member of that gym, they're going to see you before they are. And obviously, as a result, if and when they do join that gym, you're the person they already recognize and associate with that gym. They're going to be looking for where you are when they train themselves and stuff. Okay, so, you know, this is something which you can use. I'm not fantastic at it, to be totally honest with you. I'm trying to get better at it, but it's something which can be very helpful to your business. I've seen people using it very effectively, and they're trying to give me some pointers even for me and stuff. And so, yeah, like I said, those technological methods which you can use for, should we say, like YouTube, Instagram and stuff, they will help build you as a brand, you know? Even if you are an employee within a gym, you're still your own person, you know? You are not obliged to train anyone in a certain way. You've got freedom of expression. You know, like I said before, when I was working in the city gyms, it was all numbers, numbers, numbers. They couldn't care less what you did in your session. You could just stand talking to your client who's walking on a treadmill for an hour. As long as they paid, that's all that mattered. All right, and the client was happy, obviously, too. So be good at your job. You should get referrals from that too, because that can help you, long term, etc. And if you want to, then you can obviously promote yourself online and other things like that too. So these are definitely the main methods which I've used myself. I'd say if I had to narrow it down, the most effective methods that you can use is 100% direct contact. Contacting the members of that gym that never go there. That's how they know you exist. All right, there's no simpler way of putting it. If you don't do that, you're massively shooting yourself in the foot, and it's very unlikely you'll be successful in that gym. You should be able to, like I said, gain access to the member base and the details. As an employee in that gym, you do have the right to contact those members and offer them a product and service. Beyond that, gym floor interaction, but like I said, quality, not quantity. Don't just go around like a headless chicken correcting every single thing that every single person's doing, because some will be very receptive, but believe me, others are not. There's a huge amount of people that go to different gyms and stuff that think they know everything on earth and that, but you need to be, like I said, a bit kind of mindful of who your audience is with that method. Beyond that, like I said, direct contact, gym floor interaction, they're kind of the main two when you're physically there in the gym. The other things will all come with time as you're training people for a longer period of time, basically. So you can start to do seminars because you will have built up a bit of a reputation in that gym, so people will listen to what you have to say. You can hand out flyers if you're really desperate. You don't need to, but it's something which you can use to boost your numbers. But generally being good at your job will help you the most out of any of these methods. So guys, thanks so much for watching today. This pretty much wraps up episode 3 of the series of how to build your business and how to be a successful personal trainer. If you found the video useful, please give it a thumbs up, like the video, and share it with anyone that you think might find it useful too. And I will see you very soon for another episode.